broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another recap for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. This is season 11, episodes 6 and 7. We are coming at you with 2 episodes tonight. Hope everyone had a great holidays and
Happy New Year.
Seriously, 2016, what up?
I haven't seen you guys in a year.
I know, well, just me. So Bobby and Nick are out tonight, but they'll be back next week. And so it's just me and Franny home down the fort. Don't call her Franny, she doesn't love that, so I just do it to annoy her.
Oh, that's sure.
Yeah, anyways, I'm Sterling Cates. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates. And like I said, the lovely Francesca is here.
Francesca. And you can find me Twitter, Instagram, XOXOCESCA.
There we go. Well, I just have to say, I would love to be in St. Bart's right now.
Yeah, I'm so over this like 60-degree weather because it's
60 degrees.
It's clearly freezing here in California.
We have really frigid winter here. But the Kardashians were just in, well, Kris was at least, and Kendall in St. Bart's this past week for New Year's.
Oh.
So it's kind of interesting that this episode and last week's episode, they're in St. Bart's again. They just frequent there a lot. You know, it kind of makes you feel like we're up to date with what we're talking about.
Yes, tonight. For once, right?
Yeah, seriously. All right, so so we're in St. Bart's, and like we saw last week, Tyga kind of crashed the party and is joining the all girls plus kids family vacay. And Kendall doesn't love that, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then also Kourtney, like any ex does, is social media stalking Scott. But I mean, it's everywhere. And of course, we're guilty of it too, talking about it all the time. And, you know, just it being out there, pictures of him with girls, you know, whatever he was doing out on the town up until, you know, spending the night out, the whole night, whatever. Like everyone knows what he's doing. So of course, that all gets sent to Kourtney. She sees it on Instagram. And that is what happened all last week. And so now we're kind of seeing tonight the aftermath of that.
Yes.
So I just have to say, starting off the episode with Kris in the bathroom trying to kill those bugs.
We started and ended with the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Those things must be gnarly if... She had the electrical one.
Yeah,
the electrical
but did you
swatter.
see Chloe's legs? Like, they were really bad. Yeah, the bites were really bad. But, okay, so with Kylie and Kendall. So Kendall, of course, is one of the most popular supermodels right now. The 2015 was an amazing year for her. She did Victoria's Secret, cover Vogue, all this stuff. So she's obviously never really around, and she's gone a lot. And so, Kylie has gotten really close with Tyga. And, you know, is used to spending a lot of her time with him. They seem, you know, been on and off as of late, which I think they're back together now. But at this time, it was in the thick of their relationship. And so she, of course, brings him on the trip. And Kendall just wants to spend time with her sis, you know? So, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the main storyline. That's like it, you know? But so they want to go fly diving or whatever it's called, which looks really fun, but also really hard.
Scary.
Yeah, it looks really hard.
So did Kendall not do it at all? Because that's what the episode made it look like, that she was waiting for Kylie to do it, and then she just spent all her time with Tyga.
I don't know. So Kylie went and did it with Tyga.
Right.
And the way that they edited it made it seem like Kendall didn't do it at all because she was waiting for Kylie to finish with Tyga so that they could do it together. And then I guess that took too long, so they couldn't do it. I don't know. I mean, she could have gone like with Chloe or something. I don't really understand.
I know.
But I mean, I get it. I have a sister. You want to spend time, you know, as a family, and that is the point of a family vacation, especially when Kendall is gone all the time. And she set aside this certain amount of time to be together with them. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. What did you think about when they had that like really awkward conversation in Kendall's room?
Oh,
Did you hear Kylie? She kept calling her, hey babe or whatever.
Yeah,
like, it just
First
felt
of all, Kylie should not be wearing that much makeup when they're on like vacation in paradise.
Well, you know what? Whatever it is, it's great because it did not like smear anything in the sun and in the water.
Well, there were a few times. So before, leading up to that conversation, when they kind of made up, they had that really awkward encounter in the living area when Chris was trying to tell Kylie to hang out with Kendall, like spend some time with her. Like everyone's happy Tyga's there. They all like Tyga, seems to be anyways. And it's just like they just want Kylie to spend time with them too. But when Kylie went to the next room and Tyga was in there with Kendall and Chris, they were all kind of talking shit about Kylie.
She's
like
just right
Tyga
there.
just like joined in on it. They're like, yeah, like sometimes things go in one ear and out the other, like blah blah. I'm like, well, she's right there.
She can hear it going through the ear right now.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was so when Chris said something about, hey, why don't you just hang out with Kendall a little bit more? Kylie's first response was, she's so annoying or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was just like weird. And then it also was weird that Tyga kind of like jumped in
like
on a little
in on it,
family discussion. But that's also weird that they mentioned it like that Chris talked to Kylie about it right there in front of Tyga too. It was just like...
Yeah, but I guess in a few of other scenes in the episode, you do see Tyga kind of be like, to Kylie, saying that she should go talk to Kendall and figure it out, and Kylie's just like, maybe, I don't know. Like
she has the most
so
like
weird,
least amount of words in her responses. She's like, okay, or like, you know what I mean? And you just, hello?
It's very confusing. And then she also has that kind of Instagram shoot with Joyce Benelli doing it. She's like, she's 18. We can take all these sexy pictures now. And it's like on an iPhone. It's not even like, so that was interesting. And Tyga's just like watching.
He's kind of pervy.
It's kind of pervy a little bit, especially when they went on that hike and he was like, I see you jiggling. I was like, oh my God, when Chris watches this, that's going to be really uncomfortable. But yeah, so they do end up making up in that conversation in the bedroom, which was really passive aggressive before they reached a consensus.
Yeah.
It was like, that's what family vacay is about. And then Kylie's like, I'm so wanted, like blah, blah. It was very, very interesting.
It felt just like really forced and fake.
Yeah. But then Kylie was like, okay, let's spend some time together as sisters. And she invites Kendall to go on a hike with her and Tyga. So it was just like Kendall third wheeling.
Yeah. Well, and then one thing Kylie said was, the fact when you mentioned it before too, like she's traveling all the time, so I've just built this big bond with Tyga. But it's like it's your family though. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your bonds with your friends are or your boyfriends are. You spend time with your sister.
Well, I mean, I guess they're fine. They made a big deal about
they'll just hop in
their
plane and go on another trip,
Yeah, exactly. So they make up, and that's that. And so next on the St. Bart's trip, we have Courtney, who, as we know, looks phenomenal. Even like today's updates that she gives us all the time on Instagram, like her body is legit, for real. And she talked about at the beginning of this episode when she was at the dinner table or breakfast or whatever, and she said that she's feeling ugly and she like wants to work on her, like getting in shape.
Her
and
tummy.
It's that revenge bod for real.
Dude, Chloe was dropping the knowledge bombs today.
Yeah, Chloe go ahead.
She said revenge body's the best body, and what she said, just knowing you're a badass bitch is what life is about.
Hell yeah.
Like, Chloe empowerment.
Seriously. Well, I need to read her book still. I'm like,
oh, that's right.
That. I bet it's all full of those little nuggets of wisdom.
Nuggets.
But of course, so now that she has this like rockin' bod, she needs to show it off on Instagram, of course, because because
hello, ask Sister Kylie
with other women. Right, exactly. So the sisters, Kendall knows of this photographer that's in the area, so he comes and
he takes pictures.
He comes and does this photo shoot. It's like a little sexy, beachy photo shoot for Courtney, and I guess it gets her confidence up because she like,
she was saying she was the queen.
Crown. Yeah, she was like, I was the original queen. I'm just reclaiming my crown. So
I like that they were discussing like, you should take over Kim's selfie book. Because really, that's honestly like, and I don't say this in a bad way because they're good at a million things, but they're really good at taking pictures, all of them.
Yeah, they got that lighting and angling down, which we did not
and the
have today.
The Lumi case.
Yeah, Nick got one.
Hello.
Nick, he wasn't even thinking about us.
I know.
So rude.
We need to take better selfies.
Yeah. So on the trip, as far as Scott goes, we hear about him going to Mexico. And Joe setting up a room just for Scott, though. But then later we hear Scott said that he brought all these people that didn't.
Right. Well, it sounded like it's like we have a room for him if he comes by himself. And if he's not coming by himself, then he can't use the room.
Right.
But the one thing, this is not super important, but still kind of weird, was how they kept saying, yeah, I wrote Scott. I'm like, text?
Did you text him or did you email him?
What is going on?
Yeah.
I thought that was just weird.
And we also see that, Chris, because in previous episodes we've seen her talking about writing Lamar and writing, some of the other exes.
Is that just like an older person's word?
I'm guessing she's
vocabulary?
texting them. She might email them. I'm assuming she's texting them.
Yeah.
But it's just showing her again getting involved in all of these relationships. But I mean, like she said today, and we'll talk about this in depth in a second, but she said you just can't turn that switch off when you love someone.
Right.
And I mean, I really genuinely believe that they do care about Scott and Lamar, and, and that's just a point we'll talk about Scott in a second. But another point about St. Bart's talking about Scott is when Chris was asking Courtney if she is like anxious to meet the one or if she thought Scott was the one, and she said that she did think Scott was the
past
one.
tense.
Yeah,
yes.
in the past tense. So, but I mean that this episode is so far in the past now, and now we've seen that they spent Thanksgiving together and all the holidays together and all the stuff. So I mean, maybe he meant what he said at the end of this episode, which we'll get into in a second.
I like, though, that when Chris was encouraging Courtney to like go on a date, like we saw that random guy came up to the table and said,
Rodolfo?
Yeah, like you don't know who you're coming up to and saying you're beautiful too. But anyways,
she was definitely very produced, but
totally
she should have went with it because he was breaking it.
But like Chris was like, yeah, you should date, like try out, and Courtney said the dating thing's not for me right now. Like I just got out of a 9-year relationship. That's not really what I do. And I think that was really great that she said that, because a lot of people focus on like just on to the next instead of like being able to deal with things. And first and foremost, for her, she has her children, so that's more important than getting out there and dating.
Right, exactly. And I mean, she's like getting her life together, She's focused on Scott and helping him. And again, this is leaking into our conversation we'll have in a second about Scott. But when she's like, I need someone to help me. She's been focused the past 9 years on helping him and assisting him and helping him recover and all this stuff. So right now she's taking that time to really just better herself, get in amazing shape, focus on her kids, just stand on her own, really.
I know. You saw them doing those workouts in the pool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was really cool, though, with the bikes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I've been following her workouts and stuff just on social media and Instagram, and like she is really focused.
Yeah.
And determined, which I am not, so. But yeah, so as far as St. Bart's goes, we had a couple other little random tidbits.
Can I just say how bossy Penelope is? But it's so stinking cute. She was like to the mermaid, get in the pool, go for a swim. Go under. Oh my gosh.
Really cute. She's adorable.
So cute though, in their little mermaid. Oh my gosh.
Outfits, yeah. So they brought this like mermaid to the pool, and I mean, I was nervous that because she was just sitting on the side, I was nervous when she got in she wasn't gonna actually be able to sink to the bottom. Yeah, but I guess she like swam around. But yeah, Penelope was the cutest.
Go under.
Yeah, she's like, go in the pool, and she's like, all right, geez. But that was adorable. And then we also had that conversation where they're talking about tattoos, because at that point Kylie just had one tattoo. She's gotten another since then. But it's just like a little dainty, what is it, like a heart or something? I don't even remember. Yeah, it's like red though. She got
like a birthmark. Sorry.
Yeah, she got another red one too that says sanity, which is interesting.
Okay.
But then so they start talking about Tyga's tattoos, and
is that Kylie's name?
Oh, where?
Where?
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one. That is her. But then they start talking about Rob's tattoos. And Chris is kind of saying, every tattoo that Rob has means something. It's a storyline. And I mean, Bobby could probably talk to us about more because he does the same thing. But Kim kind of took it another level because they started talking about how he got Adrian's name tattooed on him, but then he covered it up with Rita.
A picture of Rita,
yeah,
right?
It was like a Barbie or whatever, like a Barbie of Rita, something like that. But then I think it was like on his torso or on his stomach or something because she's pointed at that. And then she said when he gained weight that the Barbie like stretched and now it looks like a Cabbage Patch.
Kim.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, no. And they're all laughing about it. But I mean, that just is like life, though, in general with tattoos. Like, if you age or you gain weight or you lose weight or you get pregnant or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's just your skin.
You just don't make fun of your brother.
Yeah, but...
awkward. But also, kids,
she's like, but you
don't
can't
get
deny
names.
It. Yeah. Don't get names, faces.
Unless it's my face.
Unless it's Francesca, you can get Franny.
I try to get any one of my family members to get my face on them, but no one's taken that.
Oh, that's really weird. That's really weird that they don't want to do that. Okay, so they go back to LA for the last little part of the episode, and they're meeting with this guy about wanting to start a restaurant in Calabasas, which kind of makes sense. It's like the next. They pretty much have taken over everything else in the business.
If the Kardashians, don't own the world in 2020, then I don't know what happened.
Well, they were talking about that their favorite restaurant in Calabasas, what was it, like Stevens or something? I can't remember. Or the guy's name was Steven?
Yeah.
I don't know. That it closed down, and they like started thinking about all these dishes that they wouldn't be able to have, which makes sense because, you have your favorite restaurants and your favorite dishes and that sort of stuff. So they're like, well, why don't we just start a restaurant, which only makes sense. And Kim wants to name it Dine and Dash, which they must have copyrighted because they wouldn't, or some sort of paperwork done already because they wouldn't
have said that.
On the episode. So
I know.
Maybe we should look out for
that. That would be a smart idea. Because I mean, what did you say?
The next In and Out.
The next Dine and Dash. Because I mean, just because they have such a huge. Okay. Really fast sidebar. I don't know. If everyone's on Instagram, they've seen at the end of the year, everyone's doing the best 9 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so someone put together the best 9 for the top 10 Instagram people that have the most followers.
Right. Uh-huh.
And I think it was 3 of the Kardashians were in the top 10 people. So you could just see how many people they follow them. If they made a restaurant, it would be bank. Anything they do is just bank. I would want to go eat there. I hope they would give us the after show discount. But yeah, that'd be really interesting to see if this goes through.
Yeah. And Chris, was like, oh, we could have Chris's swordfish. And Chris is like, all
totally sounds delicious.
No.
Slow your roll.
Yeah. But in the middle of the meeting, Scott kind of just shows up.
Totes ox.
But he's there. This very well could be produced. Producers probably called him up, said, come on over, blah, blah. But he says that he was there to talk to Chris because, like we saw earlier, they've been writing back and forth, sending, carrier pigeons and stuff. But anyway, so he does show up. And they all kind of sit down. So it's Chloe, Kim, Courtney, and Chris and Scott. And it starts off a little awkward just because he leaves his glasses on and Chloe's like, oh, are you going to cry a lot or whatever? And well, she's a little salty in general just because she hasn't heard anything from him in 3 months. And none of them have. But especially Chloe, her and Scott are really close or were really close. And I'm sure that hurt her, when it just kind of went off the wall and she never heard from him. So, but he... it started off saying that seeing them all in St. Bart's on family vacation made him really jealous because that's the first one that he's missed. And that makes sense, but at the same time, he doesn't deserve to go on the trip. But he said that kind of just put it into perspective. But the way he reacted to that was by bringing this whole caravan of people he doesn't know
that he doesn't know
to Mexico.
See, my whole problem, I mean, we'll continue to talk about it, but my whole problem with this conversation was the fact that Scott just kept putting it on woe is me, which they said you can't, you know, you can't do that, but it just felt so,
yeah,
I don't know.
So, you know, I have like really mixed feelings about the whole Scott thing, because Scott's my favorite character on this show. He always has been. I say character because it's really hard to say like what's real and what isn't, honestly. But you know, I really do feel for him because he does struggle with addiction. He has lost his whole family. He doesn't have anyone other than the Kardashians. And he, you know, does have these problems with alcohol and drugs or whatever it may be. But he does have this family. And so you want to root for him, and you want to, you know, we all do genuinely like him, but there's only so many things that you can do that are forgivable. You know what I mean? But I really liked that Khloe kind of, and per usual, Khloe was not afraid to speak her mind here. And I think that's what Kourtney really needed, and the rest of them. As Khloe kind of served as the spokesperson for everyone else during this conversation. And I don't think that she was afraid to actually say what she meant.
Because like Kim said, I'm happy that Khloe was there, because she was no bars. She just let go. No holds barred. What's the saying? No holds barred.
Yeah,
whatever. Because Chris is always just resorts to lovey-dovey, we love you, mommy stuff. And Kourtney always usually does stay pretty quiet. But Kourtney is going to want Scott always, regardless. So she might not be able to defend herself, just like what Khloe said. So I'm happy that Khloe's, because she really broke it down. She said, you made that choice to not be around for the family, which in turn made you not come on the trip, and you know, we gave you a family and you destroyed it.
Right.
So she kept it real.
She really did, and she brought up a lot of really great points, but he did too. Like, he did kind of, you know, you wouldn't know how to handle this either, blah blah. So he did kind of throw a little pity party a little bit, and the only reason I can like understand him at all is because he does have these issues with addiction and with losing his family and grieving and all that stuff that are very difficult to handle, and there is no right way to do it.
Excuse me.
But I think just the whole relationship with him and Kourtney, it never really has been that healthy. They never talk about how they feel. They never really let their emotions out there. So it was kind of just like the straw that broke everything.
Well, here's two things I wrote that he said. He said, if I didn't have those kids, I would kill myself.
Right.
Which, while like we're saying, like, he lost his parents both, like, tragically, you know, close together, I wouldn't know how to feel either. And I would probably be, you know, really upset and not be who I am and be, you know, whatever. But that is like, that's still like kind of like a pity. He's trying to make people feel sorry for him, because do you not remember, you know, like, was it a month ago or 2 months ago where Kourtney said, can you come over and have dinner and put the kids to bed? And he was like, I have to go to Florida.
Yeah.
You don't
have to go.
You don't have to go to Florida. If you're saying you didn't have these kids, then why are you making the choices that you're making?
Right.
And again, like I said, I understand we don't know what he's going through, but I just felt like he kept saying things to kind of make woe is me, and then he got the tears going on everyone. Yeah. And then everyone, I mean, that's like,
I think, but to me, like, I do think it was all about him, which it is, but that quote, if I didn't have those kids, I would kill myself, to me was kind of eye-opening for how dark of a place he actually is in. I agree. And you know, when you get in those places, it's not so easy to think about other people. It's not so easy to come out of it. But the fact that he was, I don't know, whatever that dark thing is, thankfully he didn't, you know, regardless of he might have been exaggerating when he said that quote.
Of course.
But that particular phrase was very heavy hitting. It was kind of eye opening for how serious it is. It's not just he's going out and partying and likes to drink and all this stuff. He actually has some very serious issues that, you know, and he went in rehab like right around the time Lamar overdosed. So, you know, I'm just praying and then that was all after this.
Right.
So I'm just hoping that that's
So, okay, so since we were saying, you know, we saw them, that they spent the holidays together, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. Do you believe Scott when he's sitting here saying, because we've seen Scott say the same story millions and millions of times. He's the boy who's cried wolf over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Do you?
I think so. When he also said that, you know, this is the unhappiest he's ever been. So over the past 11 seasons, we've seen this same cycle, not really to this extent.
Right.
But to hear him say that, like, after all of this that we've been through, this is the worst. And so I feel like that might be enough.
I hope
to help
so.
him change. And he said, you know, I know what I want. I'm going to try. I would, you know, regret not at least trying. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. I'm like rooting for him. Like, I'm rooting for him.
Of course.
You know, I felt like this apology was genuine. I did feel like he has a long way to go, just because it is that woe is me. And when he's recovered, he'll realize that it's not about him.
Right.
It's about his family, and it's about being a partner. And exactly what Chris said, about being a partner and about being a good father. And regardless of whether or not Courtney and him get back and stay back together, it's all about the three kids that they have together. So
I know. I'm proud of Courtney too, because though she did keep quiet most of the time, she did finally speak up at the end and say, I want someone to take care of me.
Yeah, which we have never heard her say anything like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she was strong. And I think it's hard when you're hearing your sisters kind of combat someone that you love and have such an intimate history with. But she didn't interrupt them. She let it all happen. And she did, you know, stand up for herself. I think she's, more than we've ever seen her, she's standing up for herself by not engaging with him and not letting him live at the house and not letting him do all this stuff, because she was kind of enabling him for so long.
She definitely was. And like, I always think about, I don't know if any of you guys have done this. I've done this in the past where significant other get in a fight, you just throw the waterworks, because then they feel bad and then it drops it. I just feel like that's what Scott's keeps doing. So yeah, hopefully.
Well, I mean, I guess
her stepping away, you can't let it happen.
Right. I think she's like, you know, and by her focusing on herself, that she's kind of put everything into perspective, and it's going to take a lot for him to be able to get through.
And honestly, the only thing it's really going to take is him.
Conversation back for like when this show first started, when, you know, people are always like, well, why didn't Courtney and Scott get married? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, they should have gotten married. They should just do it. And they had their reasons for it. Courtney never really like believed in marriage or whatever it was. But during this conversation, I was just like, thank God they didn't, because neither of them were in a place where they could do that. And who's to say that Scott, after his parents died later down the road, that he wouldn't do the same thing that he's doing now? And I was just like, at least they have that freedom to make a healthy choice now. Everything's out on the table. This is who I am. This is what I'm changing, blah, blah. We have these kids.
I know. Can you imagine if they, I mean, marriage, if you're in like a really good relationship, the actual title of marriage is just kind of like a title. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But can you imagine if it had that heavy of a title and he's over here with these women and it'd just be that much bigger of like a crazy.
And you would hope that since they do have 3 kids together, that it, you know, isn't something they take lightly, and I don't think it is. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm sure they'll include it on future episodes.
In season 20,000.
Yeah, in season. There's just like no end in sight.
Kardashians take over the airwaves. No other shows, just Kardashians.
Okay, well, on that note, let's get in. Do you have anything else to add on the Scott part, on the Scott front, or anything from this episode? All right, let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Hello?
So wait, in the preview for next week, there was that one clip of Kim saying, people have heard a couple people saying blah blah something to Kylie, but then they cut it off.
Oh, I know.
What do you think that's about? I don't even know.
I have no clue.
It was like something about her being out, like maybe she's drinking and stuff.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with Tyga. Like I'm not sure.
Well, she's confronting Kylie about something, so I'm very interested in seeing that.
I feel like Kim, I mean, we saw in the episode too, like Kim we always talk about Kim giving like the hard love. What is
tough love?
Tough love, hard love. Yeah, but she was getting real serious with Kylie, so I want to know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then what else do we have? This Fashion Week, so we're gonna probably see more of Kendall.
Lots of Kendall.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we'll see more of Corey, and I'm sure we will.
Correct.
Just because I find him very interesting.
He is interesting.
Yeah.
I did like when they brought him on the episode where they went to the white tiger jaguar thing. You could see a little bit more of his personality.
Yeah. What do you think about all of these rumors and gossip and stuff about Kourtney and Justin Bieber?
Dude, everyone's a believer now. So
yeah. So
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so these are like the facts. So they were together, not like just the two of them, but with friends, I guess, at the Nice Guy a couple of times. And apparently people spotted them being flirty and touchy and all this stuff. And then Kourtney left to go to somewhere else. And then Justin Bieber went there too. And then they like were there all night. I don't know. People like are really sold on the fact that like they've been like hooking up. Ooh. That it's not like serious, but like she's like flattered that this like young guy is interested. I don't know. It's really hard to say if it's true or not.
Should we go into news and gossip then?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
News and gossip?
Sound effects.
TV news.
Oh, wow.
Well, my thing is...
Okay, so that was my news and gossip.
But the Biebs has had stuff with Kendall in the past, right? So it's like... Maybe they're just really friends.
To me, I think they're just family friends.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything more to it. I think he's just closer to family. And he's like, has this, everyone's like talking about him and Hailey Baldwin now because he posted that picture of them kissing the other day.
Bieber just is,
he just makes
everyone a believer, you know?
I just think that it was interesting story and people wanted to read it or thought it was crazy. I don't know. It's interesting to me. I'm happy to see Kourtney like out there.
Yes,
she deserves to, maybe get a little hot young hookup. But Bieber, I don't know.
She's enjoying being in the spotlight, having fun,
and looking amazing.
Looking amazing.
But I do think that I think Scott right now is kind of just in it for the family, for the kids. I don't know where their relationship stands.
I know because I haven't really heard any. Stuff about it.
And of course, I don't even know if we've been here since Saint was born. I think we have.
We did. I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Kim just posted the first picture. But
she did?
But it's just of his hand.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Can we just see what he looks like?
It's of him holding North's hand, which is pretty cute.
I heard that Lamar.
Oh yeah, his son posted the first picture of Lamar since the.
Isn't he like walking now?
So he's been like walking, but he still needs assistance.
Yeah.
And, doctors have been saying that he's never going to be the same. It's going to be a long journey. But they were going to move him from Cedars-Sinai to a rehab facility in Calabasas so that he would be closer to home and closer to Chloe. And I'm sure that'll be easier because she still has been visiting him. And being there for him, made sure that he was taken care of over the holidays, blah, blah. She flew his kids out to be with him after the holidays. And she went to Texas for James Harden's basketball game. Oh, yeah. So she's still dating him, but still very much like taking care of Limo.
So hard. Limo.
Yeah.
That must be so hard though, because
sure it is.
You always are going to love him. They had that, whirlwind romance that seemed very genuine.
Right.
But you can't.
She can't, he honestly, again, we talk about this with Scott, but he did it to himself, honestly. But I mean, I don't want to sound harsh, don't want to sound too Kim Kardashian on him, but at the end of the day, she shouldn't have to carry that burden all the time.
Right.
That's good. But they are still married, so that's...
They are still, yes, so that's true. But I'm happy he's doing well.
Yeah.
And then, isn't it... Kendall and Harry,
whatever
his name
Kendall
is.
And Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
So we were talking that they were in St. Bart's over for the New Year right after Christmas. Chris and Corey were there. And then later, Kendall was photographed there with Harry Styles. And it was kind of like the pictures. So it's hard to tell from the pictures, but you remember that one picture of Scott with that girl on the beach chair?
Yeah.
But they weren't like kissing. That she was just kind of like on top of him a little bit. It was kind of weird.
But just
that
helping him with sunscreen.
It was kind of like that picture. So Kendall and Harry in the same position, really. I mean, Kendall could have just been reaching over him for something. I mean, why are they vacationing together in St. Bart's? They like definitely probably are something. And they were photographed like in LA in a car together. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I don't know. It must be so nice to be a celebrity and have BFFs that are just other celebrities.
Yeah, seriously. I'm trying to think what else. Kylie just has been, doing her like normal Kylie stuff. Her lip kits keep selling out like wildfire.
Are we ever going to get them?
I literally hate to admit this in public, but I tried to get them both times. Too. Yeah. But so they went on sale at 9 a.m. Eastern time. This was just like a week ago when I was on the East Coast. And 8:59 I go on and I refresh immediately, like right at 9. I click buy and sold out already.
It's insane.
I was just like, really? Okay, I'm not going to buy these just for the purpose, mainly because I can't, but also to make a point. So, yeah, I mean, more power to her.
If you're watching us by any chance, Kylie, we would love to wear your lips colors on our show.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I think that her and Tiger are still back on because there was that brief thing where they broke up.
I haven't seen him on her Snap stories lately, though.
Yeah, well, she posted this Snap chat. He wasn't in it, but like it was her screensaver on her TV, and it was just pictures of them.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, they're definitely still together.
Okay.
I also probably should stop watching her Snapchat. So it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing. All right. Anyway, anything else? Any more predictions? Anything?
I predict we'll be here next Sunday.
Yes, we will be here next week. Probably back to our normal time, which is I think 10 o'clock. I can't remember. But anyways, where can the people find you, Francesca?
You can find me Twitter, Instagram, XOXOCESCA.
There you go. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates. And we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.